Hi, fellow seekers. I'm Ryan. This is RNS Ministries channel, and this is season 1 of Developing His Worldview, episode 10, Creation and Evolution. This is part 3. Before I even say another word, if you have not seen episodes 8 and 9, do yourself a favor, go back, stop the video right here, and go and watch episodes 8 and 9 and get caught up to where we are right now. Okay. Now, today we're going to continue to talk about this. We have talked about how a creation worldview is fundamental, that there has been this systematic deconstruction of biblical authority since the garden, that we have lost our biblical worldview, that we live in two worlds, and we just don't realize it. Our culture has strived to remove the supernatural out of our society. We then talked last week about Darwin and all of this idea that evolution is nothing more than attempting to remove God from society. Today, I want to continue on that idea. And today, I want to talk about how this spiritual world, we kind of touched on the physical and spiritual. This is why I want you to go back and watch the first 2 episodes first. The spiritual world, we're very familiar with the physical world, and then, our society attempts to, it pushes naturalism, and it pushes secular humanism, and it pushes this anti-supernatural kind of thing, because we're trying to remove God from our society, right? So it pushes this naturalism, and we've lost this idea of the spiritual world. And I'm going to tell you first off that the spiritual world, it is not just, it's not just God and Jesus in heaven. It is so much more than that. You see, this spiritual world is what Ephesians 6 calls the rulers and authorities, the powers, and the principalities. In the Old Testament, it is talked about as the sons of God. You can read this in Genesis chapter 6. You can read this in Psalm 86, where it talks about the sons of God. The sons of God, those are not human beings. They are spiritual world beings. And when I say that, when I say that, most people look at me like I've got 3 heads, going, other gods? Yes, I'm not talking about a big capital G God. I'm talking about a little g gods. Where in the world do you think, where do you think some of these other religions came from? Like take Baal, or Molech, Asherah, some of the Old Testament um religions, Dagon, the god of the Philistines. Um do you honestly think they just popped out of nowhere? That somebody just kind of conjured these things up and they're like, oh, hey, let's worship this? No. I would even make the case that the Greek and Roman religions, that the Norse gods, that they are all spirit world beings who defied God and went to man and convinced them to worship them instead of God. Does that sound familiar? If it doesn't, it should, because it is exactly what the enemy wants. Satan, the devil, he wants to be worshiped as God. These spiritual world beings are quite literally entities who have fallen, convinced mankind to worship them. got a lot of them still current today. You're like, well, nobody worships Baal or Molech or Asherah or anything like that. No, they don't. In that name, let's take Molech, just for giggles. Molech was worshipped then one way, and now it has not, Moloch is not worshipped in a form by that name anymore. Moloch is worshipped through the process of abortion that has been legalized in our nation. Well, it's now to the states, but it became legal in the 60s, and now it's back to state rights. Molech worship is still alive and well in the form of abortion. It is. And you can put two and two together as to how Molech was worshipped. Like, it's pretty disgusting, and it is gross, and it is appalling. Baal was worshipped in um, orgy type of ways. These sexual freedom, like that is still like the sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s, like that's Baal worship. It really is. It's the whole homosexuality, and it is the transgender and the gay and lesbian. It is that movement. It is pagan Baal worship. I'm telling you, it is. And people think that we could just do this, and like this stuff isn't actually real, and they're just fake gods, and well, they're not really anything. Paul says that because there's only one creator God. The false gods that are worshipped are not gods at all. They're spiritual world beings who have fallen. There are religions today that are false religions. I mentioned these. I believe it was in the episode last week where we talk about Buddha and Confucius and Muhammad, and we talk about like guys like Joseph Smith is another example. Like they were visited by angels, and they were given a different testimony than the one Jesus gave. Like, do you really think that if something is contrary to the canonical scriptures, if something is contrary to what Jesus came and taught, do you really think it is of God? I'm telling you, I'm telling you. If you want to look into this more, you need to go get a book by a guy by the name of Dr. Michael Heiser, and the book is called The Unseen Realm. You need to read the book if you want to look more into this, because he does a better job than I am going to do at explaining what this is. Okay, he goes into so much more depth. It is a phenomenal book. It is. He puts light into this, and he explains this in way more ways that I can't even begin to dive into in a little short video like this. If you're interested in this, go pick up that book. But suffice it to say that I'm telling you, the spiritual world is more than just God and Jesus in heaven and angels and demons. This is part of that binary thinking that I was talking about last week. We just think it's good versus evil. Oh no. It is so much more than that. And because of that, the spiritual battle, spiritual warfare is so much more. It is so much more than good versus evil. It is so much more than, oh, the devil's just after me today. Well, sort of. Here's the thing. Spiritual warfare is about biblical authority, biblical worldview, and the gospel. If you are not on the offensive with the gospel, then it's probably not spiritual warfare. Boy, I'm telling you what, boy, the devil's after me today because my car broke down on the way to work, and 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 I don't have the money. My credit cards are maxed out, and boy, I just can't pay my electric bill, and all. No, those are consequences of bad decisions. Might I even say sin? Spiritual warfare, my friends, it's about the gospel. And when you are on the offensive with the gospel, that is when the enemy is not gonna like it. He's gonna try and throw up distractions. He is gonna try and throw whatever he can at you because you're on the move with the gospel. Creation science, groups like Answers in Genesis, the Institute for Biblical Creation Research, um, the Creation Truth Foundation, ministries like this, they do a really good job. They do a really good job at fighting creation science on a physical level. But the problem is that most of them stop on the physical level and they do not delve into the spiritual. And I would argue that the spiritual is so much more important than the physical, because while we can come and we can make an argument for physical creation, we still can't prove it. We cannot prove creation science. We cannot prove it because we were not there to observe it. The only evidence that we have is what was recorded in the Bible by the Lord himself. Creation is founded on two or more witnesses. Well, that would be the triune God. We need to recapture biblical authority. And we do that by getting reformation starts by getting back to a biblical worldview. Dare to sound like you're loony, because I know some of the things that I've mentioned today. You're probably like, wait a minute, like, oh my gosh, there's no way. I thought the same thing until I started looking into this stuff and realizing that this is the biblical worldview. This is the way things went down. Talking about Genesis 6, let's talk about the Nephilim. Who are the Nephilim? They're a race of the men of old, the men of renown. They're a race of giants. We have tried to explain this away in other ways, but the fact of the matter is that the sons of God, spiritual world beings, fell and mated with the daughters of men. So the Nephilim are literally this spiritual world angel and human crossbreed that is absolutely massive. They're giants. And yet we try to explain this stuff away. Oh, that it didn't really happen like that. No, I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds Looney Tunes, but I'm telling you, that's what the scripture says. And when you follow that thinking out, again, go get Dr. Heiser's book, Unseen Realm. Like he will explain all of this. And if you're not convinced after reading that book, like, I don't know what to tell you, because he makes his case in scripture very, very well. I want to thank you for sticking with me through this series. This has been part 3 of the Creation Evolution series, and I've got at least 2 more videos that are coming after this. So stay tuned, coming in the weeks ahead, and we will And we will continue to go down this path of creation and evolution, and we're just going to continue to dive into it. If you like this content, hit the the like button on this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell notification button so that you can be notified when these videos drop at Fridays at noon. Thanks for joining me, Seekers, and we will see you next time on Developing His Worldview. Until then, God bless you. Bye-bye.